July LeetCode challenge. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I am really excited. I saw the title of this and I figured I would start a video now and start from the beginning. So I'm going to be doing my solution today in Python. Give it a minute while it opens up a new tab. I'm super excited. Okay, so 1493, the longest subarray of 1's after deleting one element. Ooh, okay. So, given a binary array nums, you should delete one element from it. Return the size of the longest non-empty subarray containing only 1's in the resulting array. Return 0 if there's no such subarray. So, okay, I'm looking at the examples here and these constraints. So I don't really know how I want to start this. So essentially the goal is to find the length of the longest subarray containing only 1's. After removing one element from the given binary array. So I guess we could let's iterate through the array and keep track of the current length of consecutive 1's. So that, like, whenever there's a 0, then it updates the maximum length and resets the current length. So that way, if there's no zeros in the array, all we would have to do is subtract 1 from the maximum length if it's greater than 0. Yeah. That seems like a decent place to start. Yeah. So let's start with our, hold on, let me move my microphone. I'm using like a temp mic. I don't have my like normal good one. I was trying to bring it closer to me because the quality isn't as good. So, how to start this? How to start this? So, I guess let's initialize the variable. So n should be the length of the input array. Okay, I think I have an idea for this. So n equals length nums. And then the max length, let's have it equals 0, current length equals 0, has 0. We should have that be false. And then previous length is then 0. So then for, oh, apparently I'm lagging, in range, I don't know if I should do that. And then we should go into maybe an if-else then. So like, if the current length is maybe. So let's say the initialized variable n is the length. So that's going to be this. The max length is going to be 0 to store the maximum length of consecutive 1's. And then the current length would be 0 to store the current length of consecutive 1's. And has zeros false would track if there's at least 1 0 in the array, and previous length to 0 would store the length of the previous consecutive ones in the sequence. So I think that's set up pretty well. So I guess for the for loop, it should be something like, if current element is 1, increment both like current length and previous length. And then if the current length is 0, then we should have like has 0 is true. And then update the max length and current length. And I don't know. That seems like a decent place to start with that. And then you'd have to do, for previous length, I think you'd have to reset it to 0. So, okay. Okay, so let's do this. So if nums I, so this might work. This also might not work. This might fall in my face. So length, so the current length, we said plus or equal to 1, and then previous length. My cat's having zoomies right now. To 1. And then we should do else. This would be like the has 0 equals true. I don't know what to put here for max length, because I know I want the max length, current length. I think that's it, but I'm going to leave that for a second, and then I'm going to write current length is previous. Oops. Oh my gosh. Length. And then we're going to make previous length equal to 0. So this I think I want to do, so the max length and current length. And then, but see, here's, oh, am I spelling length right? I don't even know anymore. Okay, so then I could do I'm almost curious. So after the loop, okay, so after the loop, we should update the max length with the maximum. Like here, like the maximum of the max length and current length to handle that kind of final consecutive 1 sequence maybe. So then if has 0 returns is like true, then it'll return the max length, which would just signify that there's at least 1 0 in the array. And if has 0 is false, then we should then check if the max length is greater than 0, right? So we'd have to have max length return -1. which basically would just tell us that we have to remove one element. Otherwise, it's just return 0, meaning there's no other subarrays of 1. So I think that makes sense. So let me visualize this. So I would do the max length equals basically this. I'm just going to copy this. Lazy programming, I know. And so then if has 0, returns that max length. Return max length. Else. I said to return it -1. I'm thinking this is going to make sense to somebody. So, okay. Okay, so just going over this one more time. So we're initializing these variables. So n is the length of the input array. Max is 0 to store the max length of consecutive 1's. Current length is 0 to store the max, or to store the current length. Wait, then should I? No. Okay. Has 0 is false, because it would show up false if there was a 0, or if there's at least 1 0 in the array, and then previous length would be to store the previous consecutive 1 sequence. So, you know, I'm not confident with this. I don't think this is necessarily going to work, but because I think I got a little fuzzy around here. We'll just give it a try. Oh my gosh, it's making me so nervous when it does this. What? No way. Output is as expected. Man, I'm smarter than I give myself credit for. Okay, so good. Okay, so let's just recap this before I submit it. So we went through this initialized variable area, which I was just going through before. I was like, chuck it in the fucking bucket, let's run this code. So when we are doing this, going through essentially this array in this loop, we will take the current length and the previous length if the current element is 1. Otherwise, if it's 0, has 0 has to be true though, and it'll update the max length with the maximum max length and current length, and then reset the current length to previous, and then the previous length will be equal to 0. Yeah, okay, we're getting there. So then, after that loop is done, we update the max length with the max and the max, and the current. And if it has a 0 and it's true, then return the max length. But if 0 is false, then it'll check if the max length is greater than 0. And if so, it's going to return max length -1, indicating that something has to be removed, voted off the island. So Awesome. Cool. That was 1493. Let's see. Ooh. Let's see how I stack up. Okay. I would like to be, you know, a little bit better, but let's see what this editorial has to say. And this looks like it's going to be a long editorial. Yeah, this is... okay. Okay, and there's going to be some solutions, so let's see if there's a Python solution. That's Python 3. We do this every year. I'm just curious what other people do. That's all. Let's see. Okay, so this person did... Dang, that's nice. That's like way tighter than mine. So they did basically, okay, alright. I see you over there. Awesome. Okay, well, that's fine. I just will look at that one. So for the solution of this, like when you do the add solutions, it's going to open a new page. I'm thinking that the time complexity, because it adds this here, and I'm not sure this is going to be correct, so again, correct me if I'm wrong. The time complexity for this one, it goes through the array once, which basically has a time complexity, again, of 0n, where n is the length of the input array. And then the code also uses a constant amount of extra space, which would result in a space complexity of 0.1. But I'm not too sure about that, so I'm not going to write it in here today. But that is all I have for you guys on day 5 of this Juleetcode challenge. For myself, I know that I am trying to get better at this stuff and trying to get better at explaining it, and I understand if you guys are just like so fried with hearing me talk. It really does help me, and hopefully it helps you a little bit. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.